it changes every day. Like you work in this industry and you work on different problems constantly. You're meeting different people. You're learning new stuff all the time. I know lots of people that work in other industries and they literally do the same thing all the time, and they don't necessarily learn and grow. Whereas, I've done this role for 10 years and I've learned and grown every single day in that role, and I continue to do so. And I think that's really unique.
Chris Taylor here for B&T TV. Here today with Sophie Madden, the CEO of MFA. How are you?
Good, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure. Now, the MFA, just pitch that to me. What does the MFA do?
The MFA is all about promoting and championing a dynamic and valued media agency industry. So you're looking at me blankly going, what the hell does that mean?
Well, no, I get you're a lobby group on behalf of the advertising sector.
Yeah, kind of. I think we see our purpose much more as about making agencies better at what they do. So we have three core pillars, the largest of which is about people, so attracting and retaining people. So a lot of our work is around making sure that our people are looked after and that this is a great industry to work in.
When did it form? Like, I'm wondering, when did people realise the ad industry was so bad at looking after itself that it needed the MFA to exist?
Actually, the MFA started in 1997, which is well before my time there, I'll just add. But it actually was a subset of the Advertising Federation, which I don't even know how long that existed for, but it's existed for a long time in this market. But there came a point where media agencies felt that we needed to have an industry body that was more focused on just what media agencies do.
So it's not a regulatory body, even though regulation be part of the conversation always?
It's definitely not a regulatory body. So it is literally, as I said, it's about making agencies better at what we do. So better at the work we produce, that it does include things like standards and lifting us all above that. But as I said, a lot of it's about education and looking after our people.
Typical day though, someone from the MFA sees something on TV or in a newspaper, they go, ooh, I think they could do better. Like, is there a phone call to that agency? How does that play out?
I think we probably get less involved in we saw something on television that we didn't like, and more involved in looking at the work from a practitioner point of view and making sure that we have adequate standards around how we measure things and that, the data we get from the media channels is actually legitimate and trustworthy, and that, that when we're using that to advise our clients, that it's trustworthy.
Now, just between you and me, no one watches B&T TV. Are there some people that need to be watched more than others? Are there kind of people go, oh God, they never listen to anything we tell them to do. We've told them all the notes. They don't take any of them. You don't have to name them, but are there just some bad apples that are unhelpable?
Oh, that sounds dreadful, doesn't it? No, I would say not. I mean, I think one of the things that really surprised me when I came into this role, and I've actually done this role for 10 years now, so that's a long time. But one of the things that really surprised me about it was how actively engaged all the media agencies are in what the MFA does. So, we are an industry body, but we're actually really sort of very much a community. So all the agencies are really involved in what we do. They're all on our board. They're on lots of committees. And everything we do is around collaborating together to actually, make us all better. So no, I wouldn't say that there's a particular bad apple out there.
That was just the Daily Mail journal. I mean, I was just looking for dirt. It didn't become me at all, did it?
No, not at all.
I'm sorry for asking that question. Let's put the MFA aside. I'm so interested in talking about your career. Let's rewind. Little 8-year-old Sophie. Did she think she'd be in the ad world? Did she think she'd be the CEO of the MFA? What did 8-year-old Sophie dream of being?
I actually wanted to be a vet. So nothing.
I think all 8-year-old girls want to be a vet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet you liked ponies, yeah?
Yeah, I liked ponies, like cats, like dogs. Yeah, that was my dream. That was what I was always going to be. Like most people that work in this industry, I sort of fell into it.
And can you tell that story? How did you go from wanting to stroke the hair of ponies to being head of the MFA, talking to B&T TV?
Actually, when I was 8, when I was an 8-year-old girl, I was actually at the airport leaving Australia. So I was born here, and then we moved overseas. And so 8-year-old Sophie, loving the ponies, moved to Hong Kong, where there's not that many ponies to pet, if I'm completely honest. And that's where I did my growing up. And then when I finished high school, I moved back here and thought I'd have a bit of a gap year, didn't know what I was going to do, didn't really have any family here. So I sort of needed to earn a quid quickly because I was going to have a gap year. And I got a job at a media agency. And here I am.
So you did high school in Hong Kong.
Mm-hmm.
And was that kind of an international school for expats or a local school?
It was an American expat school.
And how this might be putting you on the spot, but to what extent do you think that shapes you, going to that sort of unorthodox kind of school? Did that make you more worldly, or how would you characterise your education at a Hong Kong American school?
It was actually really random. I don't know if anyone listening to this has ever been to an American school, but, it is a bit like what you see on TV.
Do they call it college?
Yeah, it wasn't a college, but, there's no uniforms.
Jocks?
There was jocks. There was the library crew, the jocks, the cool kids.
Nerds?
There was the nerds. It was very much what you see on TV. And this
they have those cafeterias where you go for lunch? Right.
Yes, we had a cafeteria. McDonald's, actually. We had like people that came in and sold in the cafeteria, McDonald's and Donut King and all.
I think we're now starting to see where the advertising career and seed was planted. You had brands coming in at lunchtime.
Absolutely. It was very American. So, I think it did. It was actually really weird. I was in Asia in an American school, and it was like you were this tiny little island, there where, we were because we were in Hong Kong, but you wouldn't actually, in terms of what they taught you, have known you were in Asia. Like, we learned American history, we learned American geography, and none of my school friends would be like, well, where's Australia? Like, it was just very American centric. It was quite bizarre.
And what made you want to move back to Australia?
I was 17, didn't know what I wanted to do, finished high school. What am I going to do now? And I think what growing up overseas did for me anyway is it does make you really independent. So, so my family were up there and I literally didn't know what to do. So I was like, well, I'll go back to Australia and see what it's like there. Landed here at 17 and got a job.
And here you are. The MFAs gain is that all traced back to that decision you made at 17. Now, it says here, and I'm a very good journalist, I always read the notes prepared for me for these interviews. You launched a campaign called We Are the Changers. What was that about?
We launched that, I think, about a year ago now, and that was our industry purpose. And the reason we launched that was because the industry's changed a lot over the years, and we felt that people had lost the sense of pride in what they do. They'd lost the sense of purpose of what this industry is all about. And that was having an impact on retention in the industry, but just generally making people feel good about why they come to work every day. So we started this project where we had hundreds of people from agencies all working together to go, well, why do we exist? Why does this industry exist? Why do we come to work every day? And I think nowadays it's so much more important for people now to sort of get that sense of purpose in what they do than maybe what it was 15 years ago. And then COVID hit. So it was a bit hard to sort of go, well, why do we come to work every day when all of a sudden you're not actually physically going to work? So that stalled us a little bit to before we launched it. But it was really designed to give us all a sense, whether you work at a media agency or whether you work at a media owner or a publisher or B&T, to go, well, why do we turn up every day? What is it that we do, and why should we be proud of what we do?
Do you think that's unique to this industry, or is that sort of a question all of us are asking?
I think it's a question everyone is asking nowadays. I think it's more and more important. And, we've always, increasingly had a retention issue in our industry. So we just sort of felt that it was time for us to really step back and get a re-sense of what that purpose is.
Are we getting any better at making that change, at making people feel better about their industry, about retaining people in the workforce? Did you see improvements?
We haven't we measure retention, and we launched it a year ago, so we actually haven't got that new benchmark. But we've definitely got a lot of measures around how people feel about the industry and that they have a greater sense of what they do. And I think the thing with We Are the Changes is not just about why I turn up to work or why the agency's CEO turns up to work. It's about every single person that turns up to work, whether you're the receptionist, whether you're the person working in ad ops. It's every single person in the team. What do they do? And to give them a sense of, just because you may not be that front person presenting to the client, you are actually playing a really important role here in helping to influence change, and to, whether that's for your own career, whether that's helping your business, whether that's helping your client, whether that's for the broader society. You have a role to play here, and it's an important role.
Why are people leaving the advertising industry? As someone on the outside, it just looks like constant parties and launches and awards nights every other week. It sounds fun. Like, if that industry can't retain people, what industry can?
It's crazy, isn't it? Because I think it's really fun. Like, I love this industry.
It's the party industry.
It's and not just because it's I mean, we love that, but equally, I love it because it changes every day. Like, you work in this industry and you work on different problems constantly. You're meeting different people. You're learning new stuff all the time. I know lots of people that work in other industries, and they literally do the same thing all the time, and they don't necessarily learn and grow. Whereas, I've done this role for 10 years and I've learned and grown every single day in that role, and I continue to do so. And I think that's really unique. But I do think that, part of the reason why people leave is because, or based on the data we get anyway, is that people just get tired and they get a little bit burnt out. And I think the other thing is that it's one of those industries where, like me, you sort of fall into it. You start this industry really young. A lot of people in our industry have only ever worked in this industry. So, particularly over COVID, when you're getting up and you're just, getting out of bed and literally turning on the computer, and you're stuck at home and you're not going to the parties or that sort of stuff, you do start to go, well, maybe, this is hard and this is, constant, and maybe it's not the right place for me. And so they go, oh, you know what, I'm going to go and try something different. And oftentimes that different thing is random things. People go and become a yoga teacher or a teacher in primary school, and they're quite random things.
I was going to ask, does your data tell you where they go? Like, is it kind of, are they all going to a similar kind of thing? You seem to be saying they're not. And I wonder if the thing is just to do something different. It doesn't matter what it is, just anything different is seen as better.
It's anything different. I want to change. I'm not sure this is the right place for me. I've only ever done it. I'm going to go and be a primary school teacher. I'm going to open up a coffee shop. Like, it is quite random. But I think the interesting thing is that we have this boomerang effect, because they go and do that for a couple of years and they go, oh, actually, that was a really fun industry. I did get to go to parties, and I did get to, solve different things and meet lots of different people. And, I had a sense of, this, one of the great things about our industry is you work in teams and you get this big community, and they miss that and they come back.
It's sort of that everyone has a sense of this, that the grass is always greener, that there must be something better out there or something else out there. And I've been through this myself, where you go and dabble in something else, you go, oh, no, I actually had it quite good back then. But I still don't resent dabbling.
Yeah.
You kind of need to do that to realise that it is pretty good back where you started, and you were just lucky that you started in something really cool.
Yeah, exactly. So we do have that. We've got a big percentage of people that try something new, grass is greener, and then they come back.
It's been a thrill. I hope you stay in your industry, because it sounds like you're doing excellent things with the MFA. I feel much more better informed about it. Thank you very much for joining us here on B&T TV.
Thank you.